Hey, welcome. Happy Friday, everyone. Greetings from Bend in beautiful Central Oregon. I am here today on this beautiful Friday with Suzanne Moore.
Hello, everyone.
Who's our college advisor here in Bend for our COCC students. I'm Jennifer Tracewell, and I work with college and career across a few different regions and for BWA. And we're here today to talk about the whole application process from A to Z. So Suzanne and I are going to get started. We're going to share our presentation. You will get all of these notes if you check our college career blog a little bit later this afternoon. You will find this here along with the PowerPoint and links that will be everything you need to stay organized and on track. So we're really targeting juniors right now, but if you're watching this and you're a senior, good luck. The earlier, the better, is what we like to say. Even as freshmen and sophomores, there's a lot you can do. So, Suzanne, I'll turn it over to you to kind of speak to our overview, and we'll go back and forth today.
All right, sounds good. So today we're going to talk about all the components of the application. I know it can be rather daunting, but if we break it down into manageable parts, I'm sure that we can get it all done in time for our deadline. So the first part is to make sure that we have a checklist to know when we need to meet all of our deadlines and what type of materials we need to send to all of our different schools. So let's go ahead and click on the link there to see one type of way to track your information. This is from the College Board website, and if you go down there, you can see that they want you to plan ahead, get information about your different schools, gather your grades, make sure you send those to the different schools. Test scores, your SAT and ACT scores need to be sent as well. Recommendation letters are a good thing to get started this summer, as well as the personal essays that a lot of colleges like to require of you. And then there is the dreaded application, but now they've streamlined it a little bit better, and there's a common application now, which makes it a little easier for you. And then if you're lucky enough to get that far, you may get an interview with one of the alumni or one of the staff members at the school you're applying to, and then just make sure you track all your applications and meet those deadlines. Fill out your financial aid form, and then once you get all that information back, then it's time to sit down with your parents and decide which school is the best fit for you financially and program-wise. So I know it sounds like there's a lot, but we'll break it down step by step for you today and get you started along your way.
Fantastic. And you'll notice in our presentation today, we'll show you multiple tracking tools. Pick the one that works for you. We recognize that everyone kind of has a different learning style, and different formats will speak to different people. So don't worry about which one you end up choosing. They all have some similarities. And as long as there's a place to track deadlines and specific schools and scholarships, you are good to go. This page right here, we wanted to just give a list of just some of the big deadlines to keep in mind. There are many more than this, and this is just a snapshot of some main ones, especially those early decision deadlines. So this is an overview, and this link right down here, I won't go to it right now, but when you get the notes, I'd like you to follow the small link where it says find detailed junior and senior year timeline. But just to know that your first big deadline is going to be at the very beginning of November. So really, towards the end of October, you need to have everything completed if you plan on doing any early decision applications. And then, moving into December, mid-December, January, you'll have some more early decision 2 application deadlines. The bulk of the students that we work with are going to be doing regular decision. Mm-hmm. January 1st is the big date to be looking for there. Mid-March to early April, these schools are going to be closing up their deadline. So that's kind of the end of the scurry and the flurry of activity. And by May 1st, you get to make a decision on your final college choice. So there's a lot, and we're starting now in your junior year towards the end. And so really you'll have some tasks today that you're going to walk away with needing to do even over the summer. And so you can hit the ground running when you come back in the fall. So I'll have Suzanne talk about this particular tracking sheet. Like I said, we'll have several to show you, and that's the bulk of what we want to teach you today, is just how to use some different tools.
So this is a tracking sheet that I put together, and you can actually just click on the link and you can use this sheet and adjust it however you see fit. But I kind of like it because I can actually put in the school names if I wanted to, and then it's a working document, and then I can also, if there was something else that I needed to add that school required, I can go ahead and do that. So if you just scroll down here, you can see those are kind of all of the things that we talked about, getting your grades, getting your test scores sent, letters of recommendation, all that good stuff. So just another way for you to keep track of what you have sent off already and what you still need to finish up to get the process completed. So again, there's a link there for you, and you can certainly use that tool if you choose to do so. Okay,
great. I like that one. It's really clean and editable, and I think that's important as you're looking at documents. Keep in mind, are you a paper pencil person? Are you a computer person? Really work with your style. All right, this section of the transcript is, very important. Obviously, every college you apply to would like to see a transcript and your grades and the type of classes that you took. And I'll have Suzanne cover this. She's really a transcript expert.
Well, we just had a lot of questions this fall about the information on the transcript, so we just wanted to give you a little insight as to what we can find on there. So a transcript is an actual official document. And when you order an official transcript, it will get sent directly from our Baker City office to the school into which you are applying for. So you don't need to touch anything or do anything. All you have to do is fill out the link, and our registrar will do that for you. So even if you need a transcript sent to your house for a scholarship application, all you have to do is fill out this link, and you can find this on our website. And you just fill out your name and your address, and then that will get sent out usually within 24 hours. So that's a great way to get those transcripts sent. But transcripts include some important information. They include your individual grades for each of your classes, your credits that you get in those grades, your GPA or your grade point average. Sometimes people ask if our grade point average is weighted or unweighted, and our grade point average is unweighted, okay? So that means a class, Writing 121 class, is still the same weight as, your senior English class in virtual reality. And then it has your class rank. So if there's 100 people in your class, it'll say, based upon your GPA, you're number 7. It also includes your absences, and you want to make sure that those are a low number. Anything 10 and above, schools look at a little cautiously there. And it's also going to include your essential skills if you have met those for the state, and that's in reading, writing, and mathematics. So when schools look at your transcript, they're going to look at your GPA, your class rank. They're also going to look at your course rigor. So if you have a 4.0 in all art classes, that 4.0 isn't going to be looked at as highly as if you had taken, calculus and physics classes instead. And then obviously, sometimes people have a hard time their freshman or sophomore year. So if your transcript does show improvement over time, that's a great thing that they like to see as well.
Awesome. Thanks. That's a great transcript overview. Okay.
All right. So when we get to applying to schools, back in the old day, we had a typewriter and paper, and we would have to type it out and mail it in the mail. But now life's a little easier with electronics. So there's three main types of applications. The first one is the Common App, and Jen will talk more about that in a minute. Then there is the Coalition app, which is, I believe, mainly for more private schools or more selective schools. And that is I think the fee is $0 or something like that. That's why it's kind of new.
It is kind of new. Like, I know, for example, the University of Washington uses the Coalition app. and that's just a regular public university. So it's not just elite schools. So really pay attention to the school you're applying to, whether it's common, coalition, or institutional, that she'll talk about in a second. And they're very similar. I know I just walked through this with a student who had to do at least one of all three of these types, which is a lot of extra work, but I haven't seen like a really definitive reason why some schools are coalition, to be honest.
I don't know either, but so Common App is handy because you just have to fill out one application and you can send that to a number of schools that belong to the Common App, same as Coalition App. And then if you just want to go to one school, some people are set on just one, then all you have to do is fill out that university institution application and send that along the way. So 3 different ways to get there. They'll all get you to the same place eventually, though.
Okay, so we're going to just walk through one of these types pretty closely, and you can explore the others as you will, but Common App is the one that I will start you off with, and we're actually going to log into the Common Application website. So this is accepted by over 750 colleges. It's kind of the biggest one out there, and we love how it streamlines, as Suzanne was saying. It's really nice to not have to, type your name and address, 20 times. So let's log right in there. It's commonapp.org, and there's an app that's really handy to keep track of deadlines. You can even invite your recommenders from your phone, set reminders from your phone. And right now is a good time to begin that application. It actually opens on August 1st every year. So let's say it's still July and you want to start the Common App, you can do that and transfer all of your information over to the new Common App that opens on August 1st. Or you can just start gathering stuff and start your new one on August 1st, so you can skip any transfer of information. So I'll log in there in a second, but the last thing I wanted to tell you is just kind of the timeline. You really should give yourself about 6 weeks to gather everything you need. And that's not just for the Common App, but the same would go for the coalition or an institution. Because you have to fill out the background information, you're writing essay prompts, and there are documents to gather. There are the recommendation letters, your transcripts, there's just multiple pieces, making sure that you have your SAT or ACT scores, if those are hanging out there. And juniors who are watching, you really should, before you leave school in June of this year, ask teachers for letters of rec. It's a great idea and best practice to give them over the summer to do that. So if you can remember, that will definitely be a standout point for you. Teachers like that. Nobody likes to be told, oh, Miss Smith, I need a letter in a week. So really be kind to the people in your life and give them a lot of lead on that. Okay, so I'm going to go into the Common App. Let me move this down here. So I have it open right here in a real live account of a student who's given me permission to share this. And there are 2 main things I wanted to show you on the Common App. One was the activity section, and another one is the FERPA issue. Some people just kind of forget to check this area that you're waiving the right to see your recommendation letters, which we strongly recommend. It just really makes them more valid and authentic to waive your right to see those. And so the admissions committee knows that they really were truthful and a little more candid than maybe they would be if they knew that the student was reading it. All right, so let's start with the activities section. You'll need this for any college application, and the Common App has it laid out really nicely. So I will show you 2 things here. One is what a completed one looks like, and then also adding one, all the awesome choices you have. So I won't go through all 6 of the things this student has on here, and you can see you can input up to 10. You don't have to use all 10, and she chose 6. So her first activity, she selected the athletics category, and it's a club sport, swim team. And she just put the name, any position or leadership. And if you were not in leadership, just try to give some information. She was on the senior squad, so it wasn't necessarily leadership, but that gives just give as much detail as you can. And any other description. She talked about things that she contributed to the team. So really think about not just listing, I was in this club. What was significant? What was meaningful about it to you? Did you help? Did you, support other people? How did you? And you'll see you'll need to list your grade levels, the timing, the hours a week, how many weeks, and do you want to continue this in college? So that's what it's going to look like on the end when somebody from your college is reading this. And then to add one, just want to show you the choices that you have. When I work with students and I'm filling out a high school and beyond plan and I do this with them, I go through activities. A lot of times they just can't think of things, or they literally forget, like, oh, or I didn't know that counted. So this is a really nice list to go through that can maybe jog your memory on activities you've done. Art counts, all kinds of clubs, anything career-oriented, and maybe it was just a job shadow you did for one afternoon or a couple of days. Be generous with yourself. I'll say a little bit later, we definitely recommend quality over quantity. But if you're really struggling to even come up with 5, it's okay to add some even if you didn't have a deep level of commitment. Cultural is a big one that sometimes people miss. In terms of just trying to remember things that might count in this category. And I like this one too, family responsibilities. I thought that was just really neat that that's included as an activity type. And 9 times out of 10, students I work with would never think that is something they could put.
If you have to go home and take care of grandma or, brother who has a mental disability, then that's big.
Exactly, Suzanne.
Takes away from doing sports or other activities. So yeah, that's an important one.
I like that. In foreign exchange, foreign language, maybe you just do like a French club if I was filling this out as a student. So yeah, I just wanted to go through this area so you could see there's actually a lot of categories that you might not have thought of. And then again, I mentioned the position or the leadership description if it's applicable, what you accomplished. And so on this section here, including what you accomplished, that's going to include even something you learned. Like I learned teamwork through this activity. It doesn't have to be, a particular honor or position, but it can just be what you internalized about it and what kind of personal growth did you get out of this activity? All right, and then the rest of that is pretty straightforward. And then you would just, add it. I'm going to go ahead and put that one in the garbage though, because we're not really going to add to this girl's application. And then under my colleges, so again, I'm looking right now at a complete application that has been submitted. And I know that because of all the green checks. If you had even one of these without a green check, it's on a complete application and it won't be even looked at. So make sure you get those lovely green checks in the Common App section. Under my colleges is where you need to do this recommenders and FERPA section. And you have to do this for every college that you add to your Common application. So this student, I think, has 10 in here. So for all 10, she had to go in and click this recommenders and FERPA, and you have to do this FERPA release authorization. And this is where you will invite and manage your recommenders, those people that you are going to ask to write letters of recommendation, or your counselor will submit a recommendation form. And you'll hear more about that next week. We're just going to kind of fly over that one pretty quickly. But next week, Rob and Allison will be talking more in depth about letters of recommendation and the essays that you'll also see on here in a minute. So there's a counselor form. And you'll notice on the Common App, we were a Naviance school this year, so kids that just came through struggled a little bit with that, but now Looking forward towards next year, we won't submit these forms through Naviance. We'll have recommenders send them directly to the university. So when you see the Naviance section where it says your school is using Naviance, it says that right now. If you try to start a Common App, you will see that, and we hope.
Yeah, we won't. There's a box to tick to activate every year, so we'll make sure we.
Fantastic. Okay. And then you'll be able to see down here, your school counselor was invited on such and such a date, and there's a school report and a counselor recommendation. Those are mandatory pieces for the application. And then a teacher one. Not every school, I've noticed, actually requires a teacher recommendation. Most do. I've discovered some that don't, or some that only want one and will only take one, or they only want two. So really pay attention, because every school will be slightly different. Even within the Common App, when you click on that school, you'll see what they want. Okay.
And then do the students want to list them in order of importance? Because I know in Naviance, only the first two would get sent if the school only could take two. So
correct.
Same here.
And so you'll see the order. She had Colorado College at the top, and if at some point you want to change that order, right now they're in alpha order.
No,
so
I'm thinking the letters of rec.
Like the letters of rec. Got it.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So if they're in order, do the first two always get sent out first, or do you
Got
get to
it.
pick? I don't know.
That's a good question, and we'll continue exploring the answer to that. So, pick up the phone and call us when you get to that point, or if you're stuck. That's what we're here for, is to work through those individual situations with different schools. Okay? All right. So that's what the college section looks like. I think that's enough of the Common App. I just wanted to give just a brief look, especially with that activities chart, because you need to start that now, actually.
Yeah. You're behind.
Yeah, no, not to make you feel behind, but we love getting juniors or anyone who's not already a senior, because we have time to help you. So it doesn't, here's why, you guys. If you're a senior and you have 0 extracurricular outside activities and you try to cram it all into the fall of your senior year, it's really obvious on your resume that that's what you did. So it doesn't feel authentic to somebody who's looking at your application. It feels like somebody who tried to just cram a lot of stuff in at the last minute, versus someone who really cared about these activities and wanted to invest in their community. And so that's why we, really advocate, starting early. I was just in the Common App and I exited out, but there are, I won't go back in there. There are 7 essay prompts, and you only need to choose one, and they're the same prompts for next year as they are this year. So you can go into the Common App, just set up an account right now. If you feel like, hey, I actually want to write my essay over summer, log in there, and I was just there, commonapp.org. Look at those 7 prompts, pick the one that you want. You could get it done. They have decided, just for consistency's sake, they're using the same ones this next year. It's not a huge essay either. It's 250 to 650 words. Super doable. Yeah. They're pretty general. I do have like a little picture here of the different categories. And it's a pie chart showing what students this last year mostly chose. So there's one, what's your background, identity, interest, or talent? You're gonna it's more of a personal essay. So you can kind of just see what, personal growth is a little bit kind of a different category. Facing adversity, problem solving, challenging an idea, intellectual curiosity, and the catch-all, topic of your choice. Literally, guys, you can write about anything as long as it showcases yourself. I won't talk any more about that, because our friends Rob and Allison are going to go over that next week in more depth on those essays. Okay. I'm having
Oh, there we go.
Okay, let's move on to standardized test scores. This would be the SAT and the ACT. Suzanne, over to you.
So just a couple things on how to prepare for the test before you decide which one you want to take. Or when you do decide which one you want to take, just make sure you study regularly. Take it as like a class. You spend an hour or two every week, same time. A great free resource is the Khan Academy, and they've hooked up with the College Board and SAT. You can take a pretest, and then based upon your demonstrated knowledge, they can tailor a study plan for you to help fill in those holes and get you ready by test date. So that's a great free opportunity you can take advantage of. Make sure you register on time and you know when all those dates are. If you qualify for free and reduced lunch, we can give you a fee waiver for either test. So just check in with any of us at the office and we can take care of that for you. And then make sure on the day of the test, make sure you bring your admission ticket, your photo ID, an approved calculator, number 2 pencils, and then some water and a snack in case you get hungry. It's going to be a long day, long morning. So be ready. Okay.
Okay, ACT or SAT, we get this often. So I'm
do.
going to give you one tip, and then Suzanne's going to give you another tip. My tip is magoosh.com. This is an awesome website that has a lot of college readiness stuff on it. It's a really fun, practical site. You will like it. So they have a short quiz you can take to see which format fits you best, because there are some differences between the SAT and ACT. Almost all schools will accept both. And so you might want to think about which one to take. I don't know that we recommend taking both of them. I think maybe figure out which one fits you best and stick with it. But there are a lot of factors to consider. And so these little quizzes actually are pretty helpful because they vary in terms of, the skill sets covered and some test taking preferences. So this little cartoon is highlighting the math differences. SAT math. I've got some algebra 2 and trig. I'll let you use a calculator, but just for the hard stuff, because SAT has a no calculator section versus the ACT math. You can use a calculator for everything, but no formulas. SAT will give you formulas. So, you just have to think about, wow, I'd rather have a calculator for everything and no formulas, or I really suck at memorizing formulas, so I'd rather have all the formulas and no calculator, or and depending on your particular math skill set. The ACT math does tend to have more of the advanced math problems. So that's my tip, is to take that quiz, and it'll spit out an answer for you in short order on which one they think fits you best. And Suzanne has another tip.
Another tip is here in Central Oregon, Sylvan Learning Center has offered their services for free to all of our Baker students. If you bring in a Baker business card, thank you, to the Sylvan Learning Center, then they will do a diagnostic for you, and that diagnostic will then determine which test better fits your testing style. So either way are great options.
Love it. Okay. When should you take it? Now, funny enough, by the time, if you watch this today, which is Friday, May 3rd, today is the deadline to register for the June 1st SAT or the June 8th ACT. So the deadline is today for both of those, for both of the June ACT, SAT. And we've always recommended that the first time you take the SAT should be the spring of your junior year, which is right now. So some of you watching, you've already registered, you're good to go. If you miss today's deadline, there is late registration where you have to pay more money. But if you're really set on, wow, I really want that June date, and you missed today's deadline, it's okay. It just means you'll pay an extra $20. It's not the end of the world. Or you could take the August, July or August. I think SAT is July, ACT is August. I can't remember which is which, but July and August are the next two testing dates. And, how often should you take it? Some people take it once, some people take it twice. Typically, your score does go up the second time you take it. You've had some more extra practice. Hopefully, you've studied in between. You figured out where your holes were. so taking it in June, right after your junior year, is really helpful because you have the summer to do a little bit of studying and take it again, in the early fall. But it varies. Strategies are different for each people. So there you go. So I'm struggling with technology today for some reason. A little more info on ACT and SAT. I won't read through all of this, but each testing service has their own registration and different test dates. So it's not the same, and I won't click into those links, but when you get this PowerPoint in the notes, you can go through all of that. I feel like I missed something though. Oh, it's the next slide that you're going to speak to. Okay. When you register for the ACT and SAT, you may be prompted to enter universities that you would like your scores sent to. So here's a tip that a lot of people don't realize. First of all, you get 4 free score reports sent to a university, but only if you choose those 4 either when you register or within X number of days. For the SAT, I think is it 9 days after the SAT, after you take it, or 5 days after you take the ACT, you get those 4 free ones. If you wait longer than that, then you have to pay a fee per score report per school. $11.25 for every SAT, $13 for every ACT, and that adds up.
Yeah.
So it's really wise just to send your score reports right off the bat when you register. Pick 4 universities that you're fairly sure are on your list, or at least within that 5 or 9 day window. It's a big money saver, and I know students are like, well, I just want to wait and see what my score was first. That you're the decision maker. We're just here to give you the information. Just wanted to make you aware of that. Scores have to be sent directly by the testing organization. We can't do that for you. You can't do that. It has to come directly from ACT or SAT. Okay, I missed that slide. I'm going to back up a second so Suzanne can still address this one. Yeah, I skipped that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I missed that.
A lot of students ask us, as they get to the application stages, well, I have my associate's degree, or I'm going to have, over 45 credits. I'll be a transfer student. But in all actuality, after speaking to a number of admissions officers at different universities, the general rule is it's based upon high school graduation date. So if they graduate from Baker in June and plan on enrolling in a university within 6 months of that June graduation date, then they automatically are considered a freshman, regardless if they have a bachelor's degree. So what students want to do is always apply as a freshman, and applying as a freshman has a lot more advantages for you because one, colleges want to attract freshmen because they tend to come to school and stay at the same school. And then in addition, you're going to get a lot more financial aid, either in merit aid or grants or scholarships, work study, by being an incoming freshman over a transfer student. So just want to make sure everyone is clear on that. No matter how many college credits you have, if you plan to enroll in university within 6 months of high school graduation, you should apply as a freshman. And if you're unsure, or if you're questioning that, then I would just reach out to the school directly that you're interested in applying to and ask them what their policy is.
Absolutely. Yeah, this came up in reference to the SAT because a lot of students were saying, well, I heard that if you apply as a transfer student, you don't need an SAT score. That is true. However, what Suzanne just said, you do not want to apply as a transfer student. So you do, in fact, need an SAT or ACT score if it's a college that is requesting that. If it's a test optional school and they don't require the SAT, that's another story. That's fine. We still actually recommend taking it because it can only benefit you. And if you have a decent to above average score, that also helps in terms of admittance and scholarships.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
There's really almost no downside to not taking it. in our humble opinions.
All right. We don't have to take it anymore, so we're good.
We had to take it. You should have to take
it.
All right. The personal statement, again, this will just be a super high level overview because this is being covered in depth next week. But we just wanted to put the bug in your head right now to be thinking about, what makes you really unique as an individual, as a student, as a human being, as a person in your family and community and school. And you want your writing to stand out and just really feel authentic and feel like it's you.
Give them goosebumps. That's what I've heard.
I love that. And so I think next week you'll be doing some more writing activities and, trying to play around with this idea of how to do this. And, you're going to write about something that's unique to you, but also explain the why. I've heard some admissions people say, so what? So you grew up in poverty and you struggled, because they read that a lot on applications. So what? What did that do for you? How did that contribute to your personal growth? So you really have to be specific and, be a storyteller when you're talking about this. So it's just really alive. Right. And, they can put flesh and bones on these letters that they're reading.
Yeah. Don't just talk about your mission trip to Africa. Talk about how it impacted you and how you brought that experience back and shared that with your community.
Exactly.
That's what they want to see.
Yeah. This goes without saying. It should be new information, not just a regurgitation of data that's already in their hands. So I heard one tip that I liked that helps retain your voice in your essays, and that is to use a voice-to-text dictation to capture your voice on paper. That certainly will not be what you turn in, because it will have all kinds of, grammatical errors, but it will be a place to start from to get your actual voice. So I thought that was a great tip. And then the editing, again, that goes without saying.
And make sure you get someone else to edit, to look it over. I mean, we could look it over 8 times and still miss the same thing. So even if you think you've looked it over and everything looks great, make sure you get 1 or 2 extra people to take a second look at it, just another set of eyes.
Absolutely. And this is true. There should not be a single error in that writing, whether it's a short answer, a long essay, like zero error.
And I'd like to add, that should be the rule across the board in the entire application process.
Yes.
I saw a number of students this year who filled out their Common App with no capital letters and no punctuation. And if I was looking at that, I would have thrown that application out. So make sure that even the application is perfect.
Excellent point. That does get overlooked. Great point. Okay. Extracurricular. We won't spend a lot of time on this because we walked through the Common App with you and showed you those areas where you fill in your activities. But I think we can talk a little bit about the big ideas. And Suzanne, I see what was happening here. Every time I was clicking, it was skipping these.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The rule of 3s is the big idea here. 3 extracurriculars, 3 community service, 3 work experience. So when I showed you the Common App right here where you pick your activity type, there is room on the Common App for 10 things. Other applications have room for more. Your resume obviously is unlimited, but this is a rule of thumb. If you have maybe 3 extracurricular and 3 work, but 0 community service, you have all summer to go do something for your community or your school or for your neighbor. Yeah, truly, helping your neighbor counts. And like we saw on that list, family responsibility, it kind of is in that general idea. So be mindful, and like I said right on here, if you don't have something, find it now. you do have time, and it's awesome if you can find something related to your career focus or major. That is fantastic because it really shows, a focus and a passion towards your intended study. And if you haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, again, you do have time to look, and it's not critical, but it sure does make you
Certainly
stand
helps.
out.
Yeah, it'll definitely put your name at the top of the pile. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Here in Central Oregon, we have a Chamber of Commerce. Every city has a Chamber of Commerce. We happen to have a section of our chamber that provides internships for students. Just check with your city wherever you live around the state, and might take a few phone calls, or call me, because I do have a list, I think on our website. Where is that career guide located where they could find regional
resources?
Okay, easy. Go to our Baker website, click resources, and under that there's a career guide. So Rob and Shelley Penny, two of our college advisors, put together a fantastic resource by region that will also help you find some things related to your career area.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's statewide, but there's another website called Volunteers Connect. And so you can just sort through there. It has all the businesses that are looking for volunteers, and you can sort through there and see if there's something that interests you.
That's a great one. Is that the same as Volunteer Match?
Probably.
Or is that a different
I don't
one,
know,
maybe?
but I know it's Volunteer Connect in Bend. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Maybe when I send out the notes for this, I'll put those links, because those are great. The one I'm thinking of, it is statewide, and you select your region and your area of interest, and it spits out a list of potential volunteer.
Sounds similar, yeah.
Yeah, same idea. So that's a great one. Okay. The community service part, why is that important? I guess I want you to consider the why and not just check a box, but really think about what you want to contribute to the greater world. Really, that sounds really cliche. However, that's what your future is all about, is contributing. What are you going to do with your one awesome, incredible life? And what is that Mary Oliver quote? Tell me, what is it you're going to do with your one wild and precious life? And yeah, think about that, and find an area that you can do something good for others. That actually is a great way to get outside of your own self.
Yeah.
And kids we work with who struggle with anxiety and depression, and we have a lot of those kids, serving others is probably the greatest antidote to that I know of. And just kind of, being more outward focused, and that's a big deal to all of the college admissions folks and scholarship committees that I've spoken with personally. They really care about this particular area. Yeah. So letters of recommendation. Rob and Allison are going to talk about this next week. So this is, again, just a quick overview of, I mentioned it because I need you to ask right now. Like I said, before you leave school in June, you really should tap into one or two teachers that you have a relationship with, who can speak to your accomplishments and who know you a little bit, to write a letter for you. And yeah, the sooner you ask. If you're applying under early decision, that means you need your letters in your hands by October. And if you back that up by giving teachers a month, that means you need to ask them in September at the very latest. So if you don't ask before we leave for break, you run into teachers starting their school year and they're super busy. Just behooves you to give yourself some time.
I knew one counselor, he wrote every single one of his students a letter of rec during the summer. Even
smart guy,
whether they asked for it or not. I'm like, that's a lot of work. So yes, give us time.
Give them time. And then aside from teachers, think about the other adults in your life, employers or coaches who understand your strengths, or who can even speak to, if you have some weaknesses, what have you done to overcome those? Mm-hmm. And what kind of growth have they seen in you? So don't hesitate to ask somebody who maybe hasn't seen your best side. If they've seen growth, then I think that's important. Um, and then this is that recommendation form. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
The one that I put together.
Let's see what this is. I think Suzanne created this.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. So if we scroll down, this is just some information that is helpful for us counselors when we're writing a letter of recommendation. We kind of want to know a little bit more about you than what we can find on your transcript. And a good letter of recommendation should include way more information than can be found on your transcript. So, you know, I always like to learn about accomplishments or challenges that students have had, what you're doing, why you're proud of that, what school do you want to go to and why. That's a big one for me. You know, if someone just says, oh, I want to go to Harvard because it sounds cool, then I might have that conversation about let's choose some other schools and get those on your list as well. So it's just another way for us to get to know you a little bit more personally and add some more insightful information into your letter and make it a more livable document.
Perfect. So you would fill this out, email it, write over to your people, give them, here's the date that I want it by, be really specific so they...
Yeah, make sure you give them a deadline, you know, at least a month or 2 weeks in advance so they know.
Awesome. Submitting your letters, I already talked about this. We should not be using Naviance next year, so provide your recommenders with a addressed stamped envelope for every college that you're asking a letter from. That's a great way to keep them organized. It's a nice gift to them, and I think it's a great thing to do. Shows some responsibility on your end. And we talked about waiving your right to see it. Always, of course.
Thank you letters are really important. Yeah, I had a girl needed a letter overnight, you know, and I did it, but barely got an acknowledgement for spending hours doing that for her. So yes, letter of or a thank you letter goes a long way.
For sure. Let's just respond. I figured out that's what was happening. All right, I'm going to have Suzanne talk about interviews because she has had quite a bit of experience with this, and not every college is going to require an interview. It is typically more of your Ivy League elite or more selective colleges. And so I'll have her talk about this. She actually got to do a mock interview for my daughter. So I know that she's really good at this, and it's valuable to practice.
Right. So there's two different situations where you will have an interview. One will be a college interview, and then another one might be a scholarship interview. So college interviews will be in person usually, and usually it's someone in the community, an alumni member, or someone associated with the school in some way that volunteer. They usually volunteer their time to come out and meet with you. And usually it's just like a pretty low-key conversation. They're not going to, you know, ask you Pythagorean's theorem or anything like that. They just want to get to know you, see what kind of person you are. You know, all they've had to look at right now is you on paper. So they want to just kind of get a feel for what kind of person you are, what you can provide to the school, what you will get from the school, but also what you're going to contribute to the school and how you're going to continue that school legacy even after you graduate. And then maybe, you know, you'll be an interviewer someday. So they just want to get to know you, talk about you, you know, and why you're interested in their school. So.
Awesome. And a tip that Suzanne has, tell them about the Rotary scholarship.
So for scholarship interviews, one good tip is to, you know, investigate and research as much as you can about the scholarship organization. I was sharing a story. I did have a student, she applied for a Moose Lodge scholarship or something like that. And she got to the interview process and they're like, so tell us what you know about the Moose Lodge. And she says, absolutely nothing. So be well informed before you go into your interviews, because that definitely shows the organization that you're interested and you're engaged and you're willing to take their organization and represent them in a positive way.
Awesome. Okay. And, the practice part of that is, I think Suzanne really covered that preparation. And one of the best tips that you gave to my daughter when you practiced with her was this section of prepare some questions
definitely
that you could ask. That's great advice.
And then make sure you ask questions that you can't find on the internet, so what would a normal freshman say, or what would their experience be in the econ classes? So some more of those qualitative, I guess, questions more so than quantitative.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, and then it's decision time. So this is a snapshot from the very first spreadsheet we walked you through from Big Future as part of I think that's College Board.
Yep.
They had a whole spreadsheet of tracking the application. At the bottom is this decision part. So when you get to about April, you'll have all of your information in hand by April, and your decision needs to be made by May 1st. So by this time, you've received admission letters, you've received a financial aid award, and we do have a whole session devoted to financial aid, so we've completely glossed over that. So don't worry, it's coming in several weeks, and you don't want to miss that session because we'll teach you how to compare financial aid awards and so that's coming. You may need more information from colleges. You may, as part of the financial part, be asked to verify some information. So like keep up on whatever email you've used to communicate with the college that you are on that. And don't miss communications. That's part of your decision-making process. Not only do you respond to the colleges you're attending, you need to respond to colleges whose offers you are declining. Send a deposit, and there'll be typically 2 deposits, a housing deposit and an admittance deposit. Keep track of those deadlines. Those are also typically May 1st, but some housing deposits come earlier than that. Some, I know one in like Boise State, their housing deposit is after May 1st. So that just watch your deadlines, but in general, it's going to be about May 1st. And those final high school transcripts, can you speak to that piece?
Yeah, we clicked on the link for the final transcript. So when your final grades have been posted, you'll want to go back to our website and make sure that you get a final transcript sent to your school that you have chosen to attend. So they'll want to take a look at those, and then if you finished up any college credits, they can translate those to their system and have you all lined up by fall. So yeah, definitely make sure you get that final transcript sent to the school of the choice that you're going to attend.
Okay, fantastic. And I guess that's kind of easy to miss because when you applied, you did the transcript request. And so you're thinking, oh, I already did that. And now for the one that you've been admitted to, you do that again. That same link.
Right, yeah, because they want to make sure you graduated.
Right. Do we really want you? And then finally, this last tool that we're going to show you, wow, I love it. And we've already showed you a couple of other tools that you can use to keep yourself organized and check your deadlines. This one is kind of neat because it's pre-built with a lot of tabs. And this is from an organization here in Oregon. Oh, it's nice. When you click that link, you get to make your own copy of the document. So do that, make your own copy. And Oregon Gear Up is the name of this organization. And so they've prepared this whole planning worksheet for you.
And there's the app they can put on their phone too.
Oh, that's right.
The Oregon Gear Up app, I think.
Yeah, definitely check out Oregon Gear Up.
And that I put on my phone, and it's really cool because it sends me reminders like May 1st deadline and SAT registration and all this stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, it's handy.
we're living. Suzanne and I did not grow up with phones in our hands. Like it was the dial-up rotary phone attached to the wall.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
this was not in our world. So the fact that you guys have these apps on your
Mhm.
phone is mind blowing. So use it. It's fantastic. So you can see the tabs on this worksheet. I'm going to start your logins. It's just a nice way to keep track of those multiple usernames and passwords from all of the different places. Your FAFSA, your OSAT, the FSA ID, we'll talk about that in a few weeks. You know, you'll have one, your parents will have a different one. So just fill this out. This is a completely editable worksheet. The activities chart, you can start, you know, if you choose to use this tool, stick it all here and then put it into the Common App. The college info sheet. Rob and Allison, when they did their session on choosing the right college for you, they went over a lot of this information. And so this is just another place to fill that in. And then you've got the scholarship tab. And this is, yeah.
That's perfect.
And you get to, again, I can edit this one. And
I can, nice.
Let's say
put the title in.
Say it's the Ford Family Scholarship. And is it an OSAC scholarship? Yes. And you know, I can put the website right there.
Did you get it?
Deadline.
Yes.
So let's just pretend that deadline was March 1st, 2019.
Nice.
Because that should pull over into my deadlines category when I go there and I go down. Oh, there it is, Ford Family Scholarship,
nice.
3/1/2019. So anything you put into these other tabs, this thingy here,
will adjust.
Yeah, it's gonna just pop over into your deadlines tab, and then you could go into deadlines right here, and you could go up to data, and you could sort it.
Right.
And so everything that comes, you know, first will fly to the top. So, yeah, it's just kind of really handy like that. And the compare costs, we will go over this exact worksheet in a couple of weeks. And then there's the Make Your Decision tab where you can fill in your 4 colleges and kind of list everything that goes into your decision. Everything from the location and student body to the different degrees that are offered, to your financial costs, etc. And then the create a budget, I don't think we're going to really cover this in our sessions, but know that that's there for you on this particular worksheet to help you plan once you're living on campus and you're on your own. You're an adult, you've got to create a budget for yourself so you can kind of be the poor college student that survives and you don't have to live off ramen. Like if you really budget yourself well, you should be able to be okay. So there you go.
Nice.
My goodness. So this is there's a lot of great worksheets we shared. This is one of my favorites because it has so much all in one place. So you have that link available to you on the last page of our slide here. So
perfect.
All right, I'll stop my sharing there. And yeah, thanks for hanging in with us. The college application A to Z, that was a lot. So you'll definitely want to review those notes and those links. And any final words, Suzanne?
Just don't feel too overwhelmed. Just break it down little chunk by chunk, maybe 1 month, take care of your essays, the next month take care of your letters and that sort of thing. But just poke along in the summer, and by the time you know it, November 1st will come around and you'll be cool as a cucumber.
That's right. And we'll be here to high five you when you can share some good news with us about your
definitely.
Oh, you know, we didn't talk about waitlisting as a part of this process. So I will just say one thing, and Suzanne recommended this to me because I showed you, that was actually my daughter's Common App that I showed you. She was waitlisted at, Wellesley was one of her colleges, and I'm like, gosh, what do I do? How does she handle the wait list? So I'll let Suzanne tell you real quick, and we'll end on this because that is part of your decision-making process, and I completely forgot about it.
Is wait lists are tricky because maybe you're waitlisted to the school you really want to go to, and then you get admitted to other schools that maybe your second or third choice. But if you are on a wait list and something happens in your family situation, you are more than encouraged to write a letter to the school and letting them know how your situation has changed since you had first applied. And so that might make a difference. And then in addition, I also learned that some of the more prestigious schools pretty much put everybody on a wait list just to give them a little soft cushion rather than a full rejection. So you never know. And the odds of getting off a wait list are pretty slim. I think they're 3% or something, 3 or 4%. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure that you have some good alternatives. And then if it does happen to come your way, then all the better. But yeah, I would just say treat those wait lists as kind of, let's go another direction.
Okay, pretty low chance,
Yeah.
but definitely follow up with at least one email or letter saying
I'm still interested. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's just a good rule of thumb to do that at a bare minimum. If it's a school that's super desirable, you can go above and beyond and maybe send one more letter or make a phone call to show interest if it's like, man, this is my absolute dream. So it's going to be personal to you. No, going into it, like Suzanne shared, it's a pretty low possibility, but we just want you to know how to, what do I do with the wait list?
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely worth a try, but don't get your hopes too high.
Okay, we're excited for you all on this college bound journey. So thanks for watching, and we will be back next week with Rob and Allison, looking over there because they're sitting right there. And they have some great stuff to really dig in with you next week on I think the letters of recommendation and the essays. And that's where you get to really show your unique person. So see you guys later. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay. Oops.